Welcome! I'm Judy LoBianco, past president of Shape America, supervisor of health and physical education, and president of HPE Solutions Consulting. Today, I am thrilled to be here to discuss what it looks, sounds, and feels like to meet the needs of all of the students in your classes. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our friends at Quaver Ed for their support and for hosting this extremely important topic for our elementary health and PE teachers. You know, when I was a young teacher and interviewed for one of my very first jobs, I was asked, "How do you think you would do if faced with diverse groups of learners?" I vaguely remember answering enthusiastically, "Oh, I love all kids. I'll do great." It was wonderful back then to be completely unaware of what I didn't know. Picture this. You enter a new school year, and your administrator hands you a grade 5 PE roster with just 10 students on it. Wouldn't that be amazing? But as you look at the roster, you begin to see that your class roster includes a diverse group of students coming from many different backgrounds. Every student has unique strengths and diverse needs. The point that I'm making with this scenario is that not every child will have the exact same experiences in your classroom. It would make sense then that before we go to plan our instructional activities, to think about the needs of each individual child in each individual class. So here you are, presented with a diverse class roster. What are some things you are thinking about when you see the diverse needs of these learners? First, how will I set up the playing surface? Next, how might I use the gym walls? What equipment will I use? What verbal and nonverbal prompts will be helpful to me? Additionally, will you have a paraprofessional to assist you? And if your answer is yes, how will you have them do so? And finally, how will you motivate and reach every student when considering their unique needs and strengths? Thank you for taking a moment to reflect on this. I think one of the most important aspects to keep in mind here is that what we are doing when we are not on stage with kids, what we are thinking about and doing to support them, is equally important to what happens in the gymnasium or on the field. In my work as an administrator, I had the opportunity to train in the work of teacher evaluation through the Danielson framework. And she distinguishes between planning and preparation as an off-stage task versus on-stage behaviors, such as engagement and communicating with students. So why don't we practice? Why don't we sit down for our prep period together? Okay, first and foremost, we need to continue to embrace the mantra that it's kids before content. Say it with me. Kids before content. All right. Now, here are the kinds of things I am thinking about each time I'm handed a roster in PE. Who are the children in this class? How many? What are their specific needs? To begin, I would want to know who the children are in front of me, from something simple, like how many of them I have, to something more complex, such as what their individual needs may be. Then, it's about planning for your environment, whether you are indoors, outdoors, have lots of space, limited space. It's also helpful to pay attention to your senses. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it smelly? Is it well lit? The environment has a profound effect on how students receive a lesson and can potentially be a distraction for them. Do I have the appropriate equipment available to me to make it work for every child? It's important to know what equipment is available to you in order to make an activity work for every student. I would also be asking myself if it would be helpful to me at this stage in my planning to collaborate with a colleague, perhaps the classroom teacher or the instructional aide. One of the most important things we can do to plan for our diverse learners is find the sweet spot between keeping them challenged and not bored, as well as planning for tasks that allow for all students to find success so they don't get frustrated. The best way to do this is to ask your students. I believe that teaching and learning is a child's experience, not ours. It's important to give students choice and voice. What better way to serve their needs and plan for each learning task than to ask them what is working for them? This leads me to my absolutely favorite technique when it comes to meeting the needs of all learners. You guessed it, differentiation. When it comes to the hard work of planning for kids over content, the task becomes all about differentiating for the needs of kids in front of you. Now that we've seen the diverse roster, digging into how of the lesson becomes essential. Let's look at a few examples. For our ELL students, we can use a variety of nonverbal and verbal cues to model what we're asking them to do. Using sentence stems and dual language vocabulary and resources that show that we've put in the work beforehand and really see them and want to support them. Providing visual aids such as a skill video or image of a food item within a food group also helps to build vocabulary and comprehension. And finally, partnering them with a thoughtful and compassionate peer or group of peers can help an ELL student feel welcome as well as feel part of the class. These techniques should be shared among teachers across the students' daily school experiences to offer consistency and familiarity. Talk to other teachers. It can be helpful and game-changing. How about a child with a 504 or an IEP? Perhaps a student participating in adapted physical education. What equipment do I need? Perhaps it's a variety of different size, shape, or textured objects. How can I modify the activity to accommodate the student and minimize the barriers to success? For example, if you're observing a student that's struggling to throw an object to reach a target on the wall, you can adjust the distance or the object so that the child can feel more confident. Who can I partner with this student, and how, if applicable, can I engage the paraprofessional or instructional aide in ensuring the success of this student? The instructional aide is a vital part of the strategy, and the student in their care is aware when the adults are not working in cooperation to support them. It's a critical relationship. Last but not least, we can't ignore the need to support each student's individualized physical skill level. One size never fits all. We know not every child will be competent in every skill or at the same skill level all at the same time. Some kids will pick up a skill very naturally, while others are not there quite yet. Perhaps some students are advanced in locomotor skills, while some students struggle with coordination. This is where we need to adjust the environment to fit the need. Providing student choice around objects they manipulate, the distance from which they practice, and what size target or net height they will use leads to greater outcomes for younger children. I've observed in many elementary physical education classrooms over the years, and it was frustrating to watch every child throw the same object from the same distance to the same size target. Oftentimes, I could see the frustration on their faces. Not being able to succeed at a movement task over and over and over, it's not fun. We need to offer choices to kids that are going to make them feel they belong in our classes and that they can succeed in that space. And then there's another one of my favorite things. Music. Oh, music. Music is the universal equalizer. It crosses all backgrounds, it speaks to all children, and it can be a powerful tool in the classroom. It can motivate, inspire, and excite children in a variety of different ways. There are so many different types and styles of music to choose from, and letting the students have a voice in what's being selected is even better. Let's explore an activity from Quaver Health PE. This warm-up challenge promotes student choice and voice by allowing students to select a genre of music, a locomotor movement, and the duration of exercise as a class. Notice the visual of the movement, the countdown timer, and the written question prompt helping to differentiate for all students. Let's select hip-hop for our genre, put 10 seconds on that clock, and then spin for a randomized movement. We got mountain climbers! Now, one thing we should always think about is whether some students need a modification if they struggle to perform these movements. So why don't I demonstrate an alternative for mountain climbers by participating standing up as an alternative to the floor? Ready? Go!
1, check 2, check 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, great job. I personally love music as a start-stop signal over a whistle any day. Last but certainly not least, technology. Since the introduction of heart rate monitoring decades ago, we've been discovering that technology not only enhances the learning in physical education settings, but also allows us to meet students where they are while motivating them around an environment where they are most comfortable and familiar. While sometimes these resources can be quite costly, it doesn't mean that we can't introduce a few pieces of equipment or even digital platforms like QuaverEd into the physical education setting. The interactive games and activities, the relatability to every student, the visuals, videos, and movement to reach all learners are fun ways that kids can engage in each of the learning objectives. Let's explore how technology can help to meet the needs of all learners in both health and PE through a PE skill video and an activity from a health lesson. Let's have a look at a foot dribbling and passing skill video on receiving. When you have a class of 60 or 80 students at once, it's hard as one person to demo a new skill or an activity and ensure every student knows what to do and how to do it. Using technology, you can help students build self-efficacy by seeing a skill and seeing directions in action. Let's click on this video demonstration to take a peek.
Receive a soccer ball. This is how you receive a soccer ball from a partner. Get ready by standing across from your partner. Eyes track.
Now, imagine you showing this video to your students and then keeping this on a loop, just like I'm doing now, while you can now be off stage to walk around and coach students individually while they practice and give them feedback. You could even pull up a timer on here and utilize technology for visuals in addition to the classroom management. You've put all of your instructional tools into one place. Additionally, technology can be time-saving with getting started instantly with instructional activities and games. We want kids to feel the urgency of beginning activities right away. Let's click into the game Gauntlet to see and hear the directions. This will meet the needs of auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learners.
PE diagrams, Gauntlet, instructional activity.
This instructional activity develops balance, coordination, foot dribbling, and passing skills. The equipment needed for this activity is several cones and a soccer ball for each pair of players. To set up, create mini goals, about 6 feet apart, scattered in a circle around the play area. You will need 1 goal for each pair of players.
I love how this video lays out the gym floor and helps you to position students and equipment. Now, let's check out a movement video on nutrition. When you're teaching health, you're teaching valuable life skills that we want students to be excited about and maintain for a lifetime. What better way to better comprehend and recall health concepts than through song? The same way we learn our ABCs and more. Before we play, though, let's click Settings to turn on subtitles in Spanish. Notice that these can be turned on in Spanish in addition to English. Let's have a look.
Yo, check out the new Quaver exclusive. If you need energy, if you want flavor, get the right food to eat. There's so much to savor. Put whole grains on your plate. Fill yourself up with brown rice or oatmeal. Quinoa by the cup.
Grab your starches, fruits and veggies, proteins, don't skip the dairy. These are all good foods.
What a great way to get kids up and moving. Notice that in both of these activities, the images are consistently diverse in nature, allowing every child to feel represented on screen. Technology can help us meet the needs of all learners, increasing engagement, and make every child feel seen, heard, and important. I encourage everyone to check out these activities we've just explored. It is in these ways that physical education offers unique opportunities to engage kids around equity, diversity, and inclusion. By our very nature of play and physical activity, we bring kids together around movement. Our activities teach them, no matter who they are, that coming together as a partner, a group, or a team has advantages that last a lifetime and promote skills that they will use forever. Teamwork, sportspersonship, communication, conflict resolution, kindness, gratitude, and more. Additionally, we also have incredible opportunities in health education. When you think about it, there is not a more important subject in schools that can affect our lives as consistently as the skills and topics we cover in health education, K through 12. To think about the impact we're making on our littlest learners around habits that they'll form for a lifetime, it becomes clear that we cannot leave any student behind. When teaching topics such as nutrition, hygiene, and personal safety, how can we reach every student? It is helpful when looking through the lens of diversity to get to know what health issues are prevalent in your school community. Each year, the Centers for Disease Control conducts a survey of high schoolers across the country to ask about a variety of health behaviors, from smoking and vaping to dating behaviors and nutrition habits. It's called the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and it monitors the 6 types of health risk behaviors that contribute to the leading causes of death and disability among youth and adults. This survey gives us the data we need to make informed decisions about where young people need the most help. The same is true at the elementary level, where we have the opportunity to form healthy habits from a very young age. Knowing what students are facing in their own communities around health risk is a great place to start. From there, we can use that information to form open-ended questions to draw out from kids what they most want to talk about when it comes to their health. It's all about the ways we can adjust our practice to meet the needs of every learner. What starts out as an almost impossible task, remember that grade 5 PE roster we started the session with a few techniques, proper planning, and a strong commitment to the teacher-student relationship, it's not so complicated. For us, that means creating an environment where kids feel physically, socially, and emotionally safe with you and their peers. It means taking the time to sharpen your skills around responsive teaching in order to include the backgrounds and attributes of your students in your teaching. The real work is when you look in the mirror and reflect each day on how you can examine your beliefs and behaviors around embracing every child, no matter who they are, where they come from, who their family is, or what color they are. Teaching content in health and physical education is the easy thing we do. Teaching the children in front of us is the art and the challenge and the joy of what we do. I encourage you to continue on a path of growth with a mindset of reflection each time you're handed your new roster of students. I hope you've taken away or reflected on some strategies to reach everyone on your roster in health and/or PE through your lesson planning, learning environment, equipment, and more. I want to thank Quaver Ed for allowing me to join them on this very important topic today of meeting the needs of all learners. I especially would like to thank all of you that are watching and listening for the life-saving work that you do in health and physical education each day. Thanks for joining us.